It's currently 12:30 in the morning when I'm recording this episode of Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews, and I just placed a DoorDash order for Jack in the Box. It says it's going to take about a half hour for it to get here. Let's see if it arrives by the end of this video. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews. We're here for the second installment of our little treat-sized mini retrospective with Edward and Gordon. My thoughts on this release are going to be very similar to last week's. Not to spoil things here in the opening segment, but the artwork doesn't make any sense, and the collection of episodes is pretty good. But let's not waste any time, let's jump right into the history section of Edward and Gordon. So unlike last week, I kind of have a date for you in regards to when Edward and Gordon came out. At least I have a mastering date. Edward and Gordon came out in 2013, but the mastering date that's here on the wiki page is February 18th, 2013. I'm not going to definitively say that's when this DVD came out, it's just when the master was finished for it, but could be, maybe. And unlike last week, this one actually has a little bit of other history to it. Because apparently, this same release came out in Malaysia, the Philippines, and Italy. And it came out in several different formats. We all know the DVD release, but in Malaysia, this was released on the VCD format, the video compact disc format. That's a format we've never covered here on Thomas & Friends Home Media Reviews, and that's because VCDs are incredibly hard to get your hands on. They were a really popular format over in the Philippines as well as Malaysia. They weren't imported much into the US. And as such, with tariffs and whatnot, you're going to be paying out the butt to get your hands on anything coming from the Philippines. However, I do think it's cool that we get a chance to talk about the video CD format. I've known about this since I first started watching from the Star Wars Home Video Library, the show that inspired this very show. Way back in ye olden days of 2003, before the Star Wars films made their way onto DVD, there were a lot of fans, including the host of From the Star Wars Home Video Library, Nathan P. Butler, who imported the original trilogy VCD set from the Philippines or Malaysia. Who knew Thomas & Friends made its way onto this obscure video format? That's pretty awesome. But I don't have much else to say in regards to Edward and Gordon because it only came out once over in the United Kingdom, so let's go ahead and move along to the close-up. Alrighty everyone, here's your close-up look at Edward and Gordon. Up here at the top we've got treat size introduces, same little layout as on A Close Shave from last week. Thomas Friends logo, Edward and Gordon, includes 6 fantastic episodes, and we've got Edward and Gordon right there. That's great, guys. I mean, they really got that right. My favorite character, Edward, right here. Just absolutely wonderful that they just included this picture of Edward. It's really nice that they threw Edward on here. It's really good to see Edward on the front of this cover. I've avoided talking about this up until now. That ain't Edward. I talked last week about how lazy the picture was for A Close Shave. This one's even worse. That's not even Edward. It's a promo shot of Gordon and Henry, I think taken around the filming of seasons 8 or 9. Just why? Were these the only assets you had available? And we've got the UK ratings down there at the bottom. This one is just so funny to me. How? Who picked this? The spine has that Entertainment Alliance logo again, the Releases logo and the Thomas logo, the ratings and product number, and the back again expands on the the front poster, so you get to see it all in its wonderful glory, and you get to see more of not Edward there. Up here at the top, you've got a blurb about just the episode Edward and Gordon, and then a list of the other episodes that are included on here. And then down at the bottom, you've got a link to the Thomas and Friends website, as well as tech specs, ratings, and barcodes. Just why? And just like last week, instead of poster art on the disc, they went with that reflective gray look. Yippee. So that wraps up your close-up. Let's move right along to the menu tour. Alrighty, everyone, here's your, quote, menu tour for Edward and Gordon. Just like last week, with a close shave, we don't have a menu here. Just like last week, though, I'll go ahead and show you here, just so no one accuses me of trying to pull a fast one on you. You can see I go to playback, title, DVD menu. Oh, it vanished there. There it is. DVD menu. Give it a couple seconds. I go ahead and hit play down there at the bottom. And look, the Britt Allcroft logo, because there's no menu here. How unfortunate for us. So that wraps things up for the, quote, menu tour. Let's go ahead and head on back and answer the 5 main questions, as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions, as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? You can find this one on eBay a little bit more than you can a close shave, although they're both not really all that common. You're definitely not going to find it at your local pawn shop, though. Maybe if you go just as the moon is rising. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? No, it is not. Number 3, should you pick this product up? So just like last week, you guys have heard my thoughts on all 6 of these episodes multiple times if you've seen this entire show. My opinions on them haven't changed much. I love season 1. It's the season that started everything. So we start things off with Thomas and Gordon. Hey, wait a minute. This is the second week in a row where the title episode doesn't come first. Don't think I'm not seeing what you're doing, Entertainment Alliance.
Do you take me for a fool?
So this episode does a great job at setting up the entire series. Just in this one pilot, we see so many key aspects of the Thomas universe come into play, and so many key aspects with Thomas's character. He's set up perfectly along with his rivalry with Gordon, as well as his job and the things that he's responsible for, things that will become plot points later on this very release and later on in season 1. Hey, here's the title episode, Edward and Gordon is up next. I see this episode as kind of like the Phantom Menace to Thomas and Gordon's A New Hope. No matter how much I try, I cannot get away from Star Wars, but bear with me for a minute. What do I mean by that? Well, both episodes could be seen as pilots for the show. However, only one sets up important aspects of the universe that the main characters live in. The other shows us an already established universe and expects us to fill in the blanks. A New Hope sets up the Jedi Knights and their influence on the galaxy. Phantom Menace expects you to already know who the Jedi Knights are and what the heck's going on. That's only one example among numerous others. Both of these episodes here in season 1 establish that Gordon has beef with everyone. Maybe that's on you, Gordon, and not on everyone around you, dude. Next up, come out Henry. Oh, the one where Henry dies in the tunnel. They never let him out again. He starved in there, along with his passengers. Hang on, I'm getting a phone call. Hello? Yes? Yes? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Good. Fine. Oh, he says he wants all other 625 experiments as a ransom. Oh, and Henry gets let out in the next episode. My entire worldview is shattered. Speaking of that next episode, Edward, Gordon, and Henry is up next. I never liked these big engines. Damn, Topham, Gordon's hurting over here and you're telling him off. I miss when everyone was so savage to each other in this era. Gordon does get verbal revenge later, though, when Edward shows up and can't move Gordon's train, and he just goes, "I told you so." Next is Thomas's train. I'm kind of surprised they let passengers on the train without an engine there to pull it. You'd think when Henry didn't show up, someone would have called someone else and said, "Hey, don't let anyone on." What we have here is a failure to communicate. I know that if Thomas's driver or fireman turned around for 2 seconds, they would have noticed they left the coaches at the platform, but the episode is critical in the formation of Thomas's character, so I'll let that one slide. I don't know how he looks behind him. That, of course, doesn't make any sense. Finally, we end things off with Thomas and the trucks. A really good runaway sequence by Season 1 standards. Last week's A Close Shave definitely blows it out of the water, but for Season 1, it's pretty good. And again, crucial world-building elements are set up here. We see how the troublesome trucks are basically chaos incarnate. They exist only to cause trouble. Edward and Gordon has terrible artwork. It doesn't make any sense, but a really good selection of stories. It's basically the UK's version of Thomas Gets Tricked. No, seriously, I think we're just missing one episode here. I think we're missing Thomas and the Breakdown Train, and it would be the UK's version of Thomas Gets Tricked. I recommended Thomas Gets Tricked. I still recommend Thomas Gets Tricked, and I recommend Edward and Gordon. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Same answers as number 1. Number 5, what price should you pay? I wouldn't go over $10 to $15 for this guy, just like with A Close Shave. But like I said, though, these aren't very common on eBay, and I'm searching their full names here. Maybe if I got rid of Treat Size Introduces, or Treat Size DVD, or maybe broadened my search a bit, maybe I'd find some more. But as far as my searches go, these are not aplenty over on eBay. So folks, that wraps things up for Edward and Gordon. Really nice throwback to Season 1 here. I haven't watched anything from Season 1 in quite a while, so it was nice to get back and enjoy some classic Thomas. And we're going to get even more Season 1 next week with Thomas in Trouble. Part of me wonders if I covered these in the wrong order, because we start with Season 2 and then we get 2 full weeks of Season 1. Maybe I should have done Edward and Gordon first. Ooh, it says my Dasher is approaching with my meal from Jack in the Box. I'm going to go enjoy that. I'll see you guys next week for Thomas in Trouble. Good night, everybody. Let's go!